the New OGs. The New OGs is a State Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. So listen, if you're a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill. You can raise the value of your home, and you can do something good for the environment. You can do all that without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. You can actually do this without paying any money out of pocket. In fact, Solar Masters can only work with you if they can save you money. On top of that, Solar Masters is a SunPower dealer. They're an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience, and they even have a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So head over to www.gosolarmasters.com and get in contact for a free consultation. Order a first one you know. Along with that, they also have a new $1,000 rebate that is available to customers from now until the end of the year. So let me just recap this whole thing. Yes, sir. Yes, XL.
You telling me you could do something for the environment?
Something good for the environment is one of those things.
You can save money for yourself.
You can actually save money for yourself.
And you gonna get $1,000?
And $1,000.
Man,
it's wild.
Come on, Bobby.
I know. You should at least go find out if you can qualify, right? Like, it would be at least worth going to check it out. So get over to www.gosolarmasters.com.
That's better than Miami cocaine, and Miami cocaine is amazing.
It's pretty good. It's
great. That's better
than the best cocaine you can get. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy. People of Comedy is a network that we are on right now. Guys, it's honestly, when it comes to Chicago, when it comes to podcasting, there is no other network to work with. They are behind a ton of the stuff going on with Chicago comedy right now. They have helped keep the scene afloat largely during the last 6 months when everybody's been locked at home by keeping voices out there in a number of different ways. Get over to People of Comedy. Check out their Facebook page. Check out their Twitch page. Check out their YouTube pages. They've got a ton of different shows from a ton of different people out there. And if you're in Chicago, find out the live shows they're involved in. They're doing recordings and things all over the city, so check them out. What's up, man? How's everybody doing?
I'm groovy. Before we get running full time, hey, James, I need you to let me know when we get to like 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Just go 30 minutes because then I can drink my tea. All right. I'm not drinking the tea till you say 30 minutes.
It's nice to know what the important things are. You know, we gotta make sure.
Hey man, my week was groovy. I did a lot of writing. I read a book that I've been having a lot of fun reading over the last few days called Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi.
Okay.
You say her name?
Yeah.
I talked about it a little bit last week.
Yeah.
And I'm like 3/4 of the way through. Still really into it.
Nice.
But my big beef before we get into the whole show is, you know what? Mark Zuckerberg, since you're reading everything I say and do, eat a dick, nigga. Fuck you. Product. I hate you, nigga. The only reason I use that shit is because there's no other place I got 5,000 people that are listening to what the fuck I say on any given moment. However, as soon as this YouTube shit jumps off, please follow us on YouTube. YouTube. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg.
What happened, man? What happened to you?
Tell me for promoting this show because we say opinions about shit that's in the news. It's a podcast. It's like what's your podcast? That's the whole point of podcasting. So fuck them. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck their whole product. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg daddy. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck people who like Mark Zuckerberg. Fuck all the Zuckerbergs. I don't believe, like, if you're a good Zuckerberg, please stand up. Please stand up, because as far as I know, all the Zuckerbergs can eat a dick.
Yeah, I mean, the platform it's been going through a lot of shit. It's been attacked by a lot of people. It's so funny because there's so many people that are on the right also that push this idea that they're being censored on these platforms. And, you know, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but I ended up going down this rabbit hole last night. I had a friend posted something and discussed this post that he'd been trying to get reported over and over again and couldn't get it done. And it set me down this rabbit hole of like looking at friends of friends and seeing the different things that were posted on there. And, you know, I'm kind of torn between like, do I want to describe this? Because it's like, I don't want to add.
Describe it, man. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-show, and it's disgusting. But you gotta like.
Let me see if I can try and put in words.
We say opinions, but we say opinions about shit that's in the news, and it's our personal opinion. and it's not attacking. Just tell them what it is. Tell them what the shit they allow where they blocking our shit.
Yeah, I think it's important only in the idea of being like understanding that like, so I mean, if you've ever watched our podcast, like we put out our opinions, we talk about what we think is right or wrong, but we've, we're comics. Like we're here having fun. We're bullshitting. Some of the things we suggest are not in the range of what this is, what I saw yesterday when I was looking through here, including, it's one thing to be mad at Zuckerberg and be like, fuck Mark Zuckerberg, but like including using slurs to describe Zuckerberg as well, based off of his religion or his ethnicity too. You know what I mean? Like openly and blatantly, like spelling a word wrong to be able to get away with doing so. Right. But yeah, like, seeing a meme of the Brazzers meme with Piper Perry with a recently deceased Supreme Court judge's face on it and recently deceased black men's faces on the black men behind the couch, and having that be something that can just be on Facebook when like a comedy podcast that's talking about current events and not in a disparaging way like that can't get, what I mean? We can't promote those two things seem at odds with each other, right? Like
that should blow my mind. Like,
and that's one example. Like the example they tried to even get, the example that the person had originally shared that he was having trouble was a 4-panel comic that basically was through using like it was a 4-panel comic where someone was holding a microscope slide and it said all the problems of the world. And as you got closer, it showed a zoom, which used white nationalist numbers 14 and 88. The 14 words, which is like the white nationalists, whatever, and what was the 88 symbolizes Hail Hitler, right? Isn't that it? The 8th letters or the H?
Hey, Bobby, real quick, while you going over this, I'm sorry to interrupt you. James, is his volume lower or is that on my end?
It's a little bit lower, but like it comes in and out. It's a feature of Zoom, so we'll call it a feature.
All right, well we'll play with the mic and see if I can make it better.
Now it's popping.
Yeah,
okay.
Cool.
So the 14 is the 14 words of basically the white nationalist credo, essentially preserving the white whatever for bullshit, and then the 88 is the HH, which is the Heil Hitler. And so like zooming in that many times, and then on the slide is a caricature of this, the Jewish. I don't know, racial slur character they always have. And there's like a bunch of them on the microscope, right? So like that shit is allowed to be on Facebook all day, every day. And some of the and I've seen friends who just post shit like men are trash, and that you know what I mean? And like getting the friends I've seen who come back out of Facebook jail for posting the shit they post in comparison to these people who have posted this shit is crazy to me. It's
and they seem to have some kind of excuse that as to why they can't find the particular thing that like, oh, well, there's so much of this. Like, really, man? Because y'all find, dude, I've been suspended. This was years ago, but I've been suspended on Facebook. Like, I got suspended in 2018 for some shit I posted in 2012. I posted it in 2012. I posted something critical, and I think that, I swear to God, I know I sound conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I posted something critical about Zuckerberg, and like 2 days later, my account was suspended. And when they showed me the picture it was and the date, I was like, you suspended me from some shit 6 years ago? You gotta be fucking kidding me. That's a motherfucker looking to suspend you for some shit.
It's wild because I have
I'm not saying Zuckerberg himself is doing it, but right. it's zealous motherfucker.
Get that one. Right, of course. Yeah, you got somebody who's like, so there's somebody goes to him every month and is like, these are the number of accounts that we've taken down.
I don't, here's the thing, I don't get it. We doing a podcast on your fucking platform, my nigga. We trying to bring you cheddar. I'm trying to pay you, man. I'm trying to give you motherfucking money. You telling me I can't say what the fuck I want to say?
Well, it's not even that. It's, I understand they're wanting to be a line between promoting hate speech and things like that. But like, there's nothing that we've talked about that is hate speech other than pointing out hate speech where we see it.
I mean, I hate hate speech. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we aren't posing any ideas that are unlike any of the normal ideas that are currently and freely like rather acceptable or reasonable in the world. And we've also had discussions where we disagree on certain aspects of those ideas as well. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a one-sided case going on here in regards to what's happened, despite the fact that we're both, on the left side of the political spectrum, at least in this country. But honestly, in another country, and there's a lot of other countries where our political ideologies are not as far left as those countries are.
Yeah.
So we're left I'm further left, I think, probably than you are, but I'm not as far left as some people in some other countries in the world. There's definitely a lot of other first world countries that would look at me and go, that's not nearly enough.
That's cute that you think you left, but and to be clear, I am not crying First Amendment because I understand what the fucking First Amendment is and how it works. Facebook is a private company. They have the right to do what the fuck they want to.
Yeah,
I just think it's bad business that we trying to give them money to do what the fuck we want to do on the platform, and they like, nah. But somehow these motherfuckers that can say horrible, hateful shit find a way to get through. Like if they was doing it and they're shutting everybody down, I wouldn't have no problem. But the crazy hate shit that gets to ride and then our shit gets beeped,
right?
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not trying to even say that like we're like I don't think the two line up. But if they wanted to say, listen, that's political opinion, I'd be like, okay, but also so is that.
Yeah, I was
like this is
hating Jews is real political.
Like, claiming blaming the Jews as being the source of all the problems of the world is definitely a political problem as well. So like, I would be fine if you say that this level of speech is not okay with your platform, but that would definitely mean that level of speech is not okay with your platform.
Hey,
so
you know what? If Jews are the problem cause all the problems in the world, why don't we just give them their own country and stop fucking with them? Oh, we did that already. Leave us the fuck alone. Leave us the fuck alone.
I just, a reasonable, like, it's a quality. I know this humans have a hard time figuring out how to make that happen, but a quality.
Literally, I'm not even gonna say it because you know what? Somebody's gonna twist my shit. And then I was joking last week about the cancel shit. I'm fucking around and get canceled for real.
Yeah, they're gonna find out. They're gonna actually cancel you in some ways in which you might struggle with.
Yeah. If I cancel me, that means they're gonna stop delivering my Aldi shipments and shit. I'm gonna have to go pick that shit up.
Somebody who's making sure he stays out there is Michael Jordan. Have you seen what he did?
Mike is like, fuck all you motherfuckers, right? Hey, you know what this is? Everybody think that Mike is about trying to Mike finally coming out pro-black and all that shit. Nah. He tired of LeBron James getting all this love for this shit.
Yeah, Mike has a new competition now. We do philanthropy, niggas?
Love for this shit? Okay, let me show you what the real money do, LeBron James. I just bought a whole motherfucking team, nigga. Do better than that. I just put Black NASCAR on the map, motherfucker.
Yeah,
before it's a t-shirt.
He's gonna turn that shit into Black Scar before it's over. That's gonna be what the name of that shit's gonna be, boy.
Like, wait a second. That's the shit y'all gonna shit on my legacy about because I wasn't black enough?
Look,
I bet.
I want to be clear. Even racists will go drive for Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah, for real.
There's a bunch of racists that love basketball still. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about this. Believe it or not, the person that gave me this idea was fucking Mike Wilbon. But dude, seeing a jump man on the hood of a car is gonna be dope as fuck. And if he makes some motherfucking Bubba Wallace sneaks, I might fuck around and cop him.
Dude, there is nothing I want more. Because you know who will definitely be able to recognize Bubba Wallace sneaks? Racists who like NASCAR. And I want to be all in the places that motherfuckers is at with them shoes on. So they know exactly. It's the same reason why I wear my Black Lives Matter mask to these suburban ass grocery stores.
Hey man, you know how I constantly bring up, if you're new to the show, I constantly bring up that I have a personal theory that things are connected and there's patterns to things. And if there's a pattern to shit, then I'm predicting that Bubba Wallace is going to dominate NASCAR next year because that's the perfect fucking story going into 2021, like the year of renewal when everything starts turning around and looking good, assuming that that's how the story goes. I don't know if we got another year of this drama shit going or what.
It would be great, but considering his track record with the Charlotte Hornets, I would not
necessarily. Everybody says that, but I say two things to that. The first thing I say is Charlotte wasn't shit before he got there. Like
that's not a lie. That's not a lie.
They was hot in the 90s, and soon, when Alonzo Mourning and Del Curry retired, that was pretty much it for them niggas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, once Larry Johnson couldn't get it done anymore, and they sent him.
Yeah. Once that nigga stopped being able to jump, it was over. His big nigga back got bad. He was still good with the Knicks. But anyway, that and that's the first thing. The second thing, while I agree with that statement, there's a lot of money bet on NASCAR with those billionaire motherfuckers that own NASCAR cars. Like, he's gonna be betting Joe Gibbs on the side. I can't see that nigga wanting to lose money to Joe Gibbs. I think he's gonna let Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace do what the fuck they need to do. He's about to use sneaker money to get like some super juiced ass engine. Yeah, it's about to buy the rights from R. Kelly for I Believe I Can Fly. And let John Legend clean that shit.
That's gonna be. He's been at it for a while. I mean, there's guys like Brad Doherty. You know, it's funny because coming from the north, the Midwest or northern Midwest part of the country, like, to me, NASCAR was not a thing I gave a fuck about. But like, I know for a fact that, like, being black in the South, like,
there was a whole different level, man.
Depending on how integrated you were in the general culture of the South, like, being black and being in a NASCAR isn't a crazy thing. If you liking the country is not specifically a white person thing. That's not... Bobby.
One of the first cars I ever had, I had a Caddy DeVille. It was like an 88 Caddy, but I got a brand new, like, this was 94, 95. It was right when whatever year the STS engine, like, was super, like 400 horsepower, that motherfucker.
I know those cars.
The dude that owned the car dealership was my homie's dad. He dropped one of the motherfuckers in the 88 and gave it to me for like 5 G's, dude. Like, he just, I don't know. Don't ask me why he hooked me up. He did. And that motherfucker used to get wide open. I used to literally have the governor used to shut me down at like 110, right?
Yeah.
But it got open quick. I was on a back road in Mississippi, just outside of Memphis, this area called Hollis Springs, where I grew up in Aurora, Illinois, west side, J-Town, JC, that's what's up. And everybody's from around here.
All right, John Wall.
Sorry. Everybody from around here is from down in that area. My point is, anyway, I drove my car down there and they had a drag race strip. This is ain't a white person for miles. This is as black as you can get. Blackity black. These motherfuckers had their own little private drag race strip. And I went out on the back road just to like show my boys how motherfucking fly this caddy was and how I could open up. I was doing 100. The point to this story, to wrap around, is I was doing 100 on a wide open country road. I saw the motherfucker in the Chevy behind me in my rearview mirror, and I was like, wow, this dude is gaining on me. I'm doing 100, and this dude is gaining on me, right? So I'm thinking he got a governor too, and right as he catches up to me, I try to kick in like that last little extra 10 miles per hour, like I can keep up with him. And this motherfucker, like, when I say dust, like nothing. Like, I don't know if he had nitrous or what. This nigga just blew past me. And my boys who was from down there, they just dying laughing in the car because I just got smoked and shit. But they laughing because they like, hey, man, you have no idea. You just became a legend. Because that motherfucker is about to tell everybody how he smoked some nigga in a Cadillac with Illinois plates. I thought that nigga thought he could get with me. He's like, country niggas ride up and down these streets just waiting for a motherfucker like you to come through, think they car hot, just so they could do that shit.
You are the mark. You got marked hard.
My point of the whole story is racing is big in the black community. We just were never welcome at a motherfucking NASCAR event.
Thank you.
Confederate flags, and it wasn't.
Well, also, like, look at the situation. Look at the situation. Like, you know, before now, how many opportunities have black people had to own a NASCAR team?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, this would be the shit where in 30 years will be a movie about Michael Jordan buying the first black NASCAR team. Because, you know, whenever black people get their first shot at anything in sports, they got to make a movie about it 20 to 30 years later.
Yeah.
Those are the rules. I don't know if you know that. But if
it is like, what it is, man.
First black lacrosse player, first black basketball team, first, like, if this is the first black something in some sports, there will be a movie about it for sure. 100%.
You know what's fucked up? You know, lacrosse would probably be a more popular sport in America. Same thing with soccer. If they stopped pricing out niggas. If they figured out a way to let black people play, y'all should have probably be popular as fuck. Because lacrosse is actually pretty fun, and it has a lot of elements of football to it.
James Brown, baby,
like hitting and
Jim Brown,
greatest, one of the greatest, if not the greatest lacrosse player ever. Played for Syracuse, correct?
He was amazing. Yeah, he played for Syracuse. He was an amazing lacrosse player.
Yeah,
amazing lacrosse player.
So it would be, dude. Come on, you wouldn't tell me if a motherfucker like Bo Jackson played lacrosse, that shit wouldn't be primetime television.
Well, also, like, hey, listen, man, if you want to get some white people back into some sports that have been previously dominated by black people, just spread out the sports that black people can play.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, are you sad because there's not enough white guys playing basketball? Get us into some lacrosse, man. Like, we'll go do that shit. Like,
hey, speaking of the white guys playing basketball, and I apologize whoever posted this tweet if you happen to be watching. I can't remember who said it, but somebody asked for Tyler Hero, Luka Doncic, and Jokic to all be on the same team because he wanted to see a white super team. And I was like, I'm not even mad at that. I kind of want to see that shit too. That would be a hot ass team, nigga. That would be a hot team to root for.
Yeah, put them together.
Lori Marketing can come off the bench for these motherfuckers.
They can have brothers on the rest of the squad. It's just if those are the three dopest dudes and those white guys teamed up with brothers, it would be a dope ass. Ball out.
We can even smooth it out. You got to be biracial if you're a brother.
It's got to be completely gradual. The talent level has to be gradual. Like the biracial guys got to be like mid-level, so it's got to be like Seth.
So it balances out.
Seth Curry. Like, not Steph. Seth Curry's got to be.
Yeah, I got it.
Austin Rivers to get that.
Austin Rivers. I feel like Austin Rivers be reminding people that he the coach's son. You know, my daddy has a team.
In the contract negotiations. In the negotiations. And then they got to be like, yeah, but he don't even want you.
He traded you to us. Your daddy traded you, nigga.
What type of negotiation you got?
How do you do Christmas after that?
Yeah, he's a GM too.
How you do Christmas after that? Hey, Dad, you mind passing the potatoes? Or am I going to get sent to another family for asking? Am I going to have to go eat Thanksgiving at another house next year?
Son, it looks like you'll be spending Christmas in Dallas this winter.
Like,
the Vogels have decided.
I mean, it's inevitable if you a professional player and your father's a coach, if you somehow end up on his team, that shit can happen. Because he's not just the coach, he's the GM basically.
You're very.
I think he is the GM. Yeah.
In a situation in which, there's a father-son like coaching playing situation, like the idea that they would both quit and retire at the same time would be a very special type of a thing. It's rarity. You know what I mean? Like that's not a thing that's going to happen all day, every day.
I just realized there's no way, unless he was like a LeBron type dude, that somebody could coach a team and their son be a player on the team after college. Like in college, you got to put up with that shit because you ain't got no power. There's no, right. You have no agency. You are at the mercy of the coach. Players really have no say in anything. Once you sign the document, you're fucking their property.
Right.
But in the league, in the NBA, hey, niggas be telling coach suck they dick. Nigga, I would get you fired. I make $35 million. What you make, nigga? 6? The fuck out my face.
That's the problem. Is if your son is a real superstar and you the coach, man, your job security.
That's awkward, man. That's awkward. Oh,
your job security is a struggle, dog.
What if Bronny get LeBron fired? Because you're gonna try to coach the nigga one day. What if Bronny do to LeBron what LeBron did to niggas in Cleveland? Just like that coach is mad fired. You know? What's that? David Blatt? Was that his cat name? Bron fired like a month into the season.
Mm-hmm.
The nigga got 6-7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, right.
That's gonna be a world championship coach, but he can't fuck with LeBron for 2 months.
It's got to happen at some point. Or like not only that, but like now we're getting to this point where you're getting into some real second and third generation kids. So like you could have like, what if Shaq's kid gets LeBron fired someday, or like what if start mixing and matching, like what if Carmelo Anthony's kid,
level beef, man.
I'm like like 2 generations deep of anger, you know what I mean? Like
Like we copywriting this shit.
Like they draft somebody drafts another player. Somebody drafts who knows, Steph Curry's kid someday, just to fucking draft day trade him to somewhere else. Just be like, fuck you, Steph.
Yeah. Like I can see that shit, man. Chris Webber's nephews.
Just like igniting old school beefs too, like.
Yeah. Dude. Isaiah, I don't think Isaiah Thomas has any kids, but if that motherfucker did, I can see Jordan like drafting the rights to that motherfucker, but never playing him. Like not even putting him in the G League. Just like, we not signing you, nigga. We just holding your rights for 2 years. Go watch TV. Tell your dad I said hi, nigga.
Yeah, man, that's the future of what's coming in the NFL or in the NBA for sure. Speaking of some new gigs, we might as well talk about this now. The Bulls do have a new coach. They hired Billy Donovan, who parted ways with Oklahoma City, like just at the start of September. And according to the story, he left Oklahoma City at the end, drove back to Florida, and then got a call the next day from the Bulls, who wanted to meet with him like right away. And so I
like that.
They jumped down and spent like 5 hours with him, like going deep into what they wanted, what their plan was.
Drive down.
No, he drove. So he finished up his meetings in Oklahoma City and left for good and was driving down to Florida to his home there. And like he got there, and then the next day the Bulls were like, "Hey man, we want you to come up and talk about this gig." And he was like, "Guys, I just had a 17-hour drive. Like, can we do this like Monday or something?" And they were like, "How about we come to you?" And so they came down and spent like 5 hours with him. Like getting this whole deal and like figuring out.
Okay, you know what? I gotta say, I know you have some feeling. I don't know if you're gonna talk about it. I know you have some feelings on who they pick. I think Billy Donovan's a good coach. I agree with everything I think you might want to say, but I think Billy Donovan's a good coach, and I'm very happy that the Bulls did what they did the way they did it. It was somebody they wanted. In the past, the Bulls management has done this thing where everybody knows there's a person they want, but they don't say it, and they keep it laying out there, and they keep it lingering, and then they want the person to want the Bulls job and all this shit, and it's this whole thing, and then they wind up not getting it, or they wind up overpaying or some shit like that. Yeah. They saw somebody they wanted. They fucking called them that day, like, "Hey, we're not leaving you on the market, nigga. So let's lock this down." I like the decisiveness.
Yeah. So, it's interesting because in the NBA, there are different types of coaches, right? There are coaches who are just kind of learning what it's like to be a head coach in the NBA. There are coaches who are just don't have it, just aren't going to get it. There are coaches who are good at like just developing talent, but never really like getting to the next level. They'll be 40, they're every year, they're 42 and 40, they're 43 and 39. And then there are these coaches who are like precipice coaches, right? Doug Collins was a precipice coach. He's one of these guys who could like, he'll win you 55 games. He'll get you into the second round. He may get you to a conference finals. He just doesn't have whatever that magic is to get it over the top. And then you got championship guys. And I think where the Bulls are right now is they're in a spot where they need a guy who can get them repeatedly in the playoffs and like at least in this conference final chase. And I think that's what Billy Donovan brings to the table. And so, when you look at the guys who are the names that are out there, and there are some good head coach names, there are some good black head coaches that were like candidates, that guys who hadn't had the gig yet. But I do agree that I think it's important they got somebody who had some experience. Like getting a guy with some experience is good. They've been like Scott Skiles was the last guy who had been a head coach before the Bulls. Like in the last,
I think Scott Skiles is the only dude ever that they hired that had experience.
I mean, Doug Collins didn't have the experience. Phil Jackson didn't have the experience. None of these guys, Tim Floyd
didn't have experience.
Cartwright didn't have the experience. None of these guys had experience except for Scott Skiles.
Yeah.
And although this is a completely different kind of coach, I think it's a good idea to bring somebody in who's got some type of history as a head coach somewhere. And I think it's also a long play for them, because if Billy Donovan is a guy who gets these guys to a playoff level, the potential of, if he doesn't get them far enough, and replacing him with one of their guys that they've worked with before, whether that's God, all the names just ran out of my head at the last minute. Whether it's Unseld Jr. or whomever, those guys will get a start-off job somewhere else for the next year or two, and they can do that for a few years and see how they're panning out. And then the Bulls may grab one of those guys for the final push if it's right, or a bigger name at that point. They may be more attractive to a real big name, coach at that point if they get that far.
I think,
or Donovan gets him over the top.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Donovan might be a guy for two reasons. I think he's the type of coach that can put some structure that will work for what Zach LaVine does. He can work with what Kobe White does. He can work with the young guards. He's shown that he could do that. And that's exciting to me. And I also think with the way he worked with Chris Paul last year, he made people thought Chris Paul was going to OKC to retire. Chris Paul was MVP candidate. You know what I'm saying? OKC was way colder than anybody expected them to be.
Yeah.
Like much, much better. Like I think people were like they could possibly make the playoffs, possibly. And I mean they did I can't remember where they finished. They weren't 8th. What were they?
No, they were closer than,
sixth?
I think they were the 6th seed, I think
they were 6th. Like nobody was talking 6th seed for them. And
yeah.
They were a young team, and everybody thought Chris Paul was diminished, and he led that young team in a way that shocked me. And I have a conspiracy theory about this.
Oh yeah.
And my conspiracy theory is Chris Paul has 2 years on a very expensive contract that OKC, although they're on the precipice of something good, they're still one major player away. And Chris Paul happens to play the same position as another guy that they have that's young and probably just as talented or could be. They want to let that dude play. So they might either do a buyout of Chris Paul or some kind of trade with Chicago and bring Chris Paul, who played very well under Billy Donovan, like I said, resurgent to his reputation, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that.
He'd be a great guy to train Kobe White for a year. I'd love to see that happen.
and the reason why I think there might be some kind of teeth to this, maybe possibly, is the Bulls want to move Otto Porter, I heard, and that would make the salaries match up a little bit, kind of close.
They can move maybe Satoransky and Otto Porter and get out of it.
There you go. And Chris Paul's biggest paycheck off the court, it happens to be based in Chicago.
This conspiracy. I love it. I love this conspiracy.
The State Farm is Chris Paul's biggest paycheck off the court. He does all those fucking commercials. They're based right here in Chicago. And you know what else is based here in Chicago?
What else is based in Chicago?
The Pro Bowl Score is based. The PBA. Is based.
The Professional Bowlers Association is based in Chicago.
Association, and Chris Paul is an avid bowler. He has bowled several 300s.
He's a big.
He dominates the. They have like a pro-am thing that he usually dominates every year. Yeah. And he has aspirations to become a pro bowler. So there are reasons for him to come to Chicago outside of trying to win an OKC and shit like that. Where I think it would be a lateral move for him. OKC in Chicago.
Do you see Chris Paul coming in and spending maybe 2 years here? Maybe get a third where he's kind of like on the bench as a help out guy in the third year, and then kind of evolving into being integrated into the city. No, hear me out. Like see him like evolve into kind of being integrated into the, like he comes here for 3 years. They maybe get to a conference finals. He bows out in his last year. And like, because of the adoration he maybe gains in those couple of years, do you see him maybe being integrated into the city? If that's the thing that happens, where like all of a sudden it's like, now he's like this guy who's taken to Chicago over the last few years and like made it his home. And so he's going to stay here and like keep promoting State Farm or the PBA or whatever the case is.
Here is the next layer to the conspiracy. Chris Paul has always wanted a major city and never had a major city to himself. When he was the Clippers, that nigga he wasn't the star of the city. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody gave a fuck about Chris Paul.
No, not when he was there.
not when he was there. But if he came to Chicago and they was balling, he came to Chicago and they took to the playoffs. Chris Paul is everything here. Yeah. And like I said, State Farm is based here. So they're going to be putting them up when this COVID shit is over and people can actually, integrate and talk, or we're walking around in helmets, whichever. When that shit happens, he is perfect for Chicago. He's photogenic. He knows how to, do what I can't do right now, talk well on camera.
He's not a trouble guy. Like there's no trouble coming from Chris Paul right now. He's
he's like
that part of his career. Yeah.
Real quick, I gotta jump in.
Yeah.
It has been 34 minutes, XL.
We're at the 34-minute mark.
So
the tea will begin.
It is tea time.
Well, since we're getting to that part, we'll talk. If we have the time, we'll get to some more of the car stuff later. The NBA playoffs have also been good, but we'll talk about that another time. I do want to talk to about some of the more important stuff.
It takes a half hour for this kick in, Bobby. Don't trip. Takes a half hour for this.
Yeah, we're gonna lose you at the end of this one. I know where this goes. Once you start dancing, it's on for good. It's crazy. It's Friday again.
Earlier, just to throw you off.
It's Friday again. All the weird shit seems to happen from essentially the moment this podcast ends until like we get back here the next Friday. Last Friday after we got done, or over the weekend, last weekend, Ruth.
It was right after the podcast, I believe.
Yeah, right after the podcast, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, which immediately sent the world into this insane place of both thoughts of doom and thoughts of resiliency in the results of what happened. And there are some
I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a lot of different, the takes of Ruth Bader Ginsburg are overwhelmingly positive. There's some attempts to try and create some shitty light for her, which I think is a shame considering how much she has done and that humans are flawed regardless. But what she's done for the rights of people in general and women in particular is just not something you can kind of take a shot at effectively, honestly, in a real honest conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's obvious in the way in which the opposition has sought to replace her, the impact that she has had and what she has held on the court with the expediency in which they think that they need to do something about it.
I only would say I don't give a lot of credence to anybody who has any kind of beef with her. Everything I know about her, the woman was an amazing person of character and integrity, and always fought for the people who needed to be fought for. I know that there's a thing about her not jiving with the Kaepernick protest. An 80-year-old white woman, even a very sensitive and intelligent left-leaning 80-year-old white woman, not understanding somebody kneeling for the national anthem. It doesn't make me think that she's an evil bitch. It makes me think that she's octarian, and maybe has a different perspective on the world. And I can pass on that.
Yeah,
now, her grandkids saying that shit can kiss my ass.
Yeah, yeah, her grandkids got to get their shit right. But it's what it resulted in was essentially just the people who we have no reason to trust already, further giving us no reason to trust. It's McConnell and Lindsey Graham are my favorite villains of all time. Like when I often joke about the fact that there's no superheroes, but like there's definitely supervillains, because there's no way, like so last week there was I guess the easiest way I can frame it is last week I saw this video, right? And it was, I think, some triathlon that was going on. It was coming down towards the end of the triathlon. And this guy who'd been in second place the whole time as they're coming around the last like turn that's supposed to happen, he's obviously exhausted, doesn't realize he's supposed to turn, keeps going forward, runs into one of the guardrails and is like, oh shit, I've missed the turn, right? Like it's crowds everywhere, so it's hard to tell. He's running forward, misses his very last turn. The guy who is in third place eclipses him and gets past him, and as he's getting towards the stop line, towards the finish line, you see him start to like slow down, and he just stops. And as the guy's coming, he like waves him forward and waves the guy past him, and he lets the guy finish ahead of him. And at the end he goes, listen, this guy's been leading me all day. It would be crazy for me to like take that from him because I didn't really earn it. You know what I mean? And like that, in contrast to what the Republicans are doing right now, is the difference in like humanity and lack thereof, right? Like that's the entire difference. Because the reality is, if they just went, listen, we are confident in what we believe, and therefore we'll wait because we believe that the American people will vote for the guy that we think has done the best job. And then we'll have no problem getting what we want confirmed because we believe we're correct anyway. So why would we need to rush it and create this stir?
I think
we're the dopest. So what are we talking about? But that's obviously not what's happening.
Yeah. The Republicans are the only people I ever hear talk about integrity are my conservative friends, people I used to do business with, people that I know from when I had more conservative leanings, and I still, for whatever reason, still associate with them. And
got to keep your eyes on it, man. Evil lurks.
But those are the only people I constantly hear talk about integrity. Like I very rarely hear liberals talk about it because I feel like that's just something we try to do. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just something you try to have, you try to do, you don't brag about it. But my conservative, my right-leaning friends, it's something that they constantly fuck. If you listen to any like motivational speaker, most of those motherfuckers are conservative leaning because they all tax dodging assholes. And they're conservative leaning, and that's a core center thing of what all these business leaders talk about. And these motherfuckers have none of it. I think the reason why they constantly have to talk about it is because they lack it and they know it shows. And so then they try to wear it as a badge to imply that there's somehow, some way, they always find some kind of loose jointed fucking loophole to justify their lack of it.
It's all about their version of integrity, though, right? Like that's the thing is that I think both sides crow about having integrity, but it's, what are we measuring as integrity? You know what I mean?
Integrity when I say I will not do this, and then when the thing happens and then you do it.
Yeah, they just don't care. I mean, I had reposted that video from Lindsey Graham that was basically him saying, like, we know that.
Beat the tape.
Yeah, Tape. Well, he's got the thing that basically just says, listen, I don't believe that we should replace the Supreme Court justice in election year in 2020. If that's the case, you can hold me to it, blah, blah, blah. And then there's also that video that I shared of him talking about how much money was raised in opposition to him over the last couple of days.
They hate me.
Since Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And he literally goes, I know that money was raised because they hate me. And like what that crystallizes for me is that he knows that people hate him. He just doesn't care. Like that's the whole point is, and that's why I was I these dumb scenarios that I started coming up with, because like while we're going to be still talking and tweeting and yelling about the hypocrisy, they're going to be committing it.
So here's the thing,
you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that we are yelling hypocrisy, it's like you don't get to declare bankruptcy by just yelling it loudly. That's not
that's some paperwork.
You got to go do some shit. You know what I mean? Like you can't just yell hypocrisy and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I guess we got to stop with this whole Supreme Court shit now because someone has yelled hypocrisy.
Someone has yelled hypocrisy. Yeah, it's like it's a game show. Hypocrisy. Like, everybody freeze.
We're not going to shame them into anything. That's not that. They're not ashamed.
They have no.
They openly are saying we know you hate us.
Can I say this though? Yeah. And I don't completely buy into that with Lindsey Graham, only for this reason only. If you watch that clip when he says they hate me, that's hurting that nigga's eyes. That shit bothers him. Well,
he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to be hated. He just knows that's what's happening.
And this is why I've felt this way about Lindsey Graham the entire time. Do you remember Lindsey Graham hated Trump? He even hated Trump during like the first 6 months of his presidency. And then they went golfing.
There's so much audio.
Right after that nigga went golfing, Trump could do no wrong. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Them niggas got something on Lindsey Graham.
Of course they got something on Lindsey Graham.
That's all it is to it. I'm not saying he's a good man. Fuck him. Because whatever he did that they got on him that he could get blackmailed like that. Here's the thing. I'm open with my shit. You can't blackmail me.
Yeah, of course.
My profile on sex sites is public. Same pictures I've been using for headshots, nigga.
I mean, this is how they usually get them. I'm pretty sure that Lindsey Graham is still unmarried, is he not?
Kevin Spacey.
I'm not trying and I think that's terrible, right? Like I think
it's terrible that somebody would.
I want to be clear. I think it's terrible that this is but if I'm thinking of reasons, a 65-year-old unmarried man,
unmarried senator,
right? A 65-year-old unmarried, never married, no previous spouses, no nothing.
Former naval soldier, right?
Come on now.
I believe he was in the Navy. I'm not even kidding.
Now you're just being funny.
He was in the Navy.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that. Let me look it up. Let me find it.
Hey, Google.
Military service. I know you have the thing yelling at you. No, he was in the Air Force, man.
He was in the Air Force.
Yeah, so slightly different.
I unplugged it.
I'm no, I'm not. I am not saying anything. I'm not trying to suggest anything about Lindsey Graham, but I am trying to say that, the way it usually tends to happen when you're dealing with conservatives who end up,
come on, man,
being pinned between a rock and a hard place. I'm not trying to sound like Snagglepuss. I'm trying to be real with it. He sounds
like Snagglepuss. Like if that motherfucker said "Heavens to Murgatroyd" one time, I would lose my shit. Like literally, Lindsey Graham. When you lose to the brother in November, go on Saturday Night Live and say "Heavens to Murgatroyd" one time, and I forgive all your traits.
What'd be funny is if they do have him host Saturday Night Live and he comes out of that back part where it's like literally coming out.
Yeah.
And he also, I mean, here's the thing. I would prefer a world in which Lindsey Graham could just live whatever truth it is he has and happily do that. And I think it sucks that like he's got to live that way if that's the way he's got to live to make something like that happen. Because what it does is it puts him in a position where he's got to back things like what's happened with Trump this week, where he's talked about how he's not leaving. I've been yelling about this, right? Like from what was it, a year in? I was like, this man is not leaving. If he gets in, he's not leaving.
So here's the thing. This is the only place I disagree with you, and I really hope that I'm right, because that means we don't have to actually go to civil war. And I don't think Trump wants power. Dictators want power. I think Trump doesn't want to lose. I think Trump thinks it would be so humiliating to him to lose that he can't accept that he's going to lose. So him saying shit like "get rid of the ballots" is like, that's a scenario where he doesn't lose.
I don't think he knows the difference, but I think he's got people that are working that know the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my problem is, so like my thing with him is like, he's just an aimless fool who's talking about what he wants. And then there's a bunch of people who are getting things by the fact that he is in the position he's in. And they are moving forward with what their agenda is under this roof of him being this like free chicken is the word. It's free chicken. That was the word that Vitamin used to describe who he was. Because that's how it's looked at. When you have an asset who you don't have to actually like put into a compromised position, who just because of their own foolishness will like set you up to be a winner, that's free chicken. And that's what he is to people.
Did you see Trevor Noah? Trevor Noah's been on fire, dude. Like complete fire. I've retreated from watching the news. I've literally been getting it. I went back to like the rest of America. I'm getting it from Colbert and Trevor Noah.
You need something less specific about what's going on.
But it's just it's in jokes, and I can just move on to the next thing. Right. But he's talking about the same shit, the free chicken shit. He's basically like, Russia has to be like Putin's talking to his top guy. Dimitri, did you tell him to say that? No, I thought you said say that. He's like, he's doing this to himself. Like they have to be watching this shit like they can't believe he's doing this shit to himself. Putin has to be jacking his dick to this. Like, just like, I can't, it's so beautiful. Watch it could destroy itself. It has to be great for him.
I mean, it's a real problem though, right? Like when you really start talking about what he's suggesting, the idea of there not being a transfer of power, the idea of using the ballots, like
here is where I don't see this happening if motherfuckers vote. Everybody votes.
But you know what's going on, right?
No. You're talking. Wait, let me finish what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Here's why I don't believe it's going to matter. Because even if he does that to hold on his office, it will require Lindsey Graham, who's going to lose, and like 7 other Republicans who are all like, they're losing in Arizona. They're going to lose in Florida. They're probably going to lose. Not Florida. There's like 2 or 3 other southern states. I can't think off the top of my head. They're losing, and they're probably going to lose because more money is going to the fucking Georgia. They're going to lose. Not Georgia. South Carolina. Lindsey Graham's going to lose. Like, they're going to lose. They're going to lose the Senate. It will require, and Democrats are keeping the House. So that will require Trump to try to stay in power with the Democratic Senate and a Democratic Congress. There's no way in hell he'd do that.
I think everything relies So I do understand what you're saying there. Like, okay, if he loses the Senate and now he doesn't have control of either of those things, like you believe that he may go, that's too much. Fuck it, I'll take the L and get the fuck out of here.
Saying he has nobody to have his back. Like,
but he's got his. But here's what I think everything rests on. Here's where I think we will tell whether we have a viable chance at a democracy or not. Is I think tomorrow at 5:00, Trump is announcing his Supreme Court pick. If that gets accomplished before the election or in time for the election, we are fucked. I can't, because here's what that means. Because if he has a Supreme Court in what is essentially a 6-3 favor for him, then like everything else, he will feel that he can fight things as long as he has to fight them to get there, and he'll fight it because as long as he's got the courts, he'll think he's got a shot.
So here's the deal.
That's my thing. I
don't think he has Roberts.
But the other issue that's on there is the fact that
I don't think he has Roberts.
Here's the other issue, though, is that to tell people to go vote is one thing, but there are also a lot of people. There are people who are early voting in Virginia who are harassed by Trump supporters. There are a bunch of people who are going to be like making voting very difficult for people who are trying to vote in person. There are a lot of people who are already setting up to go out and harass voters and make it hard for people to vote. And, the only thing you can try and tell people is like, do not let people scare you away. Do not let people like intimidate you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, which
don't let anybody take your rights from you.
No one has the right to keep you from doing that function. Make sure you fill out all the things, double and triple check, and do exactly what they tell you to make sure that all your shit counts properly. Find an official and make sure, like, am I filling this out correctly? And make sure you've got all whatever you need to fill out. Make sure you got it filled out right when you're going in there. But if there is civil unrest near a voting place, and he puts in troops or sheriffs to shut that down, that eliminates people from being able to vote in a location. And that is a problem that, like, I think we need to keep an eye on. Like, I will not be surprised by any zany thing that will happen, because he's taken advantage of every zany opportunity he can to turn into clown shoe shit, He's
a master of loopholes.
It's all he cares about. His people are constantly looking for them.
Like that's his supervillain name, Loophole.
That's great. I like
Trump,
that.
AKA Loophole.
Yeah. I think that's a great moniker for him. On top of that, like, we're still dealing with a pandemic that's going on. We got a whole pandemic going on. There were these CDC guidelines that have been laid out. And then they got immediately changed. There were guidelines as far as going back to school and putting kids back in school. Those were changed, I think, at some point. I know I think you were watching Maddow. She was the one who I think broke part of the story with this.
So they came out and said, and people should know this, that the droplets of coronavirus, they stay in the air longer than they said before, and they go further than the 6 feet that we've been telling each other to stay away from. So you need to, I think some people, like when you walk out of the store and stuff like that, you like take the mask off right away before you even get to your car and shit like that. That's probably not a good idea. Elevators, I've been guilty of this. I've gotten on an elevator and there was nobody on the elevator, so I didn't put my mask up. Because I'm like, I'm alone on the elevator. Well, somebody could have just got off the motherfucking elevator and coughed in the mouth. And that shit stays in the air longer than previously suspected. And they talked about that, and then they removed all of it and took it back to the guidance prior to that we had already known.
I mean, I'm in Wisconsin right now, where there are still 2,500 plus cases every day. I would side on the way of extra caution. There are breakouts happening all over here. I would side on the areas of extra caution. And a lot of those breakouts are happening on college campuses, by the way, here. That is a real thing that's going on. That's where a lot of the breakouts are going on. Just be extra cautious. Like, wear the mask until you get to a place where you can feel good at taking it off. I don't know how to make it any more like basically simple for people. It's crazy to me.
I don't want to look away from the camera trying to look it up. I can't remember exactly what site I got it from, but it's from a reputable site. It wasn't something BS.
Let's post it somewhere later so people can check it out.
There was a study that said that wearing masks actually helps you develop, could possibly help you develop an immunity, even temporarily, from coronavirus, because coronavirus, unlike other viruses like of the COVID family, the amount of virus that you get exposed to determines your level of sickness. So if you're in an area like a hospital where you're constantly getting bombarded with the shit, you get sick and die pretty quickly, or you get severely sick. If you are casually exposed to it once and you're a relatively healthy person, you might get milder symptoms. By wearing a mask, you may in fact still get exposed to COVID somehow, some way, but the mask would limit the amount of that exposure. And because it limits the amount of your exposure, it would be enough for your antibodies, your natural body, your body's natural system to fight it and create antibodies, your white blood cells to fight it and create antibodies against it.
Which would potentially explain why some people are getting tested and showing that they have antibodies when they never really had like a real thing happen.
Because they had a very mild exposure. That mild, like usually like the regular traditional flu, if you get one little speck of flu, you could get the fucking flu, and the severity of the flu is from that one little speck of flu. Apparently, one little speck of corona is like a gang nigga. It's a gang member. He by himself, you fuck him up. But then he call his homies and it's on. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing to get out of this is that this is still a super new thing. Right. And like people get so upset over like, well, they tell us this thing and now it's this thing. And it's like, yeah, because we're all getting the updates in real time, man. This would normally be happening behind closed doors somewhere where we'd be testing out all the shit that goes on. And then we'd know, oh, okay, well, that's what this is. But like, we're all finding it out together. So, you know, the real problem is with the covering up of what's actually happening and the fact that it's still being downplayed in the face of the fact that it is definitely not down. We're over 200,000 deaths. I remember the president that we currently have saying if there's 200,000 deaths, he should be blamed for it. Here we are, you know, but again, the idea of yelling hypocrisy just isn't it, right? Like, like this is.
I still think Joe Biden should put that shit in his ads.
Absolutely. But I mean, speaking of a failing system, you know, the other news that happened this week to kind of continue toppling the world of the depressed, you know, lower castes of citizens in this country is in Kentucky, AG Daniel Cameron came out and announced that they would be giving one officer 3 counts of charges for wanton endangerment of shooting drywall in the Breonna Taylor murder, without sharing full testimony documents of what happened, and not even giving it a chance to go to trial. And so, you know, obviously there is unrest everywhere. There were at least 2 cops that were shot that night out in Louisville. You know, it's a situation in which, as a Black person sitting here watching it, and it was one of the first things I posted, is that we are still not as valuable as property in this country.
Drywall got more rights than we, man.
I mean, what are we supposed to? Why would my question? I guess it's like, why wouldn't we be reckless, right? Like I see comments from people that are like, well, look at how they behave in their own community. But it's like, when you feel like you can't sleep in your bed or like chew gum or walk with Skittles or, you know, do anything, be in your own house on your couch, like homie in Texas who got shot by that cop who was off duty, just came in on him. Like, why would you not be reckless when there's no commitment from the other side to treat you fairly? So like, what is the reason to not, like, why not ball out all day, every day when and when in a situation like this, it's like, based off of the information that they shared, they couldn't move forward with charges, but they're not releasing the full transcripts of the testimony, which is what is being demanded, so we can find out, because that's what would determine whether it's worth going to trial or not, is like this real thing. So there's still potential for bullshit going on.
So
you know what I mean?
I understand that the Attorney General of Kentucky is Black, but I like,
man, they sent that nigga out there to deliver the news. Come on now.
If you watch the press conference, He wasn't even in control of the information he could give at the press conference of his own fucking office. Like, they asked him, would he be releasing the transcripts? And his initial response was, well, right now, I don't think so. Like, he's like, I haven't thought about it. And then he said, hold on for a second. He turned around and talked to somebody. And then he came back and said, we don't think we should release the transcripts. Woo, woo, woo. It wouldn't be right for me to release the transcripts. Like, he literally, his own thought, he hadn't even thought about releasing the transcripts. It almost felt like he didn't even know why the transcripts weren't released already.
That man is not in charge. That man is not in charge.
He had to consult somebody before he came back to say why he couldn't do the fucking transcripts.
Well, it's also, so funny.
He's also like a huge Trump stan too. He goes to Trump.
Yeah, he's Mitch McConnell's boy.
His conduct at all. Like he has agency, even though he's not in charge. He's still kind of a piece of shit. So like,
man, he's a full piece of shit for not being in charge in line.
Here's what annoys me:
to protect people. That is the duty of the attorney general, is to protect the citizens more so than anybody else. Even more so than the governor. Dude, he's the governor's fucking watchdog to protect people.
He literally came out with this. He just had this statement that came out thanking the fucking whatever, the police for their support and all this other bullshit, and how he's akin to them and blah, blah, blah. Like he just had that shit that he had written, like, I don't know how long it was, but it was recently. So like, we know where the allegiances lie, but they sent this dude out here, and it's like, you know, I have to defend my blackness so often just based on my fucking skin tone, and here this dark nigga's out here doing white people business every day, right? And without nary an accusation, you know, and that's what's going on is like they sent this dude out here. He's got this job for a specific reason. And this is to be a face that delivers injustice to black people in the hopes that they will digest it easier.
He's a mascot.
That is his whole job. He is in the true words of being a token or an avatar, he is, you know, when you see the puppet come out there and say the words to the people, like that is that man saying those words. There is no doubt in my mind, because he's already said there's no such thing as systemic racism and shit. So he does not understand what's going on in that community. And like the idea of lumping him together as black people just because of his skin tone, or that he knows that struggle, is not fair either. That is diminishing the black people and our culture.
I got to see who his people are.
It's diminishing the black people and their culture to like assume that he is a valuable representative of what's going on in the lower struggling classes of black people, when that is not the version of him that we are seeing. Because that's like, and the bigger thing is like, so based off of the information they're showing, there aren't charges they can put out there. What that points to me is that the system is a failure, right? Like the bigger point is like, okay, well, if that's the case, then we have to have a revolution because that system is broken. If you're not willing to change that system, like nowhere in what you said was, and also we are now going to like obviously strike that law because that's insanity, right? Like we're never going to let that, like based on the law where it is now, we feel we can't do this because this was the law when this happened, but we're never going to let that happen again. Immediate changes, that can't be the case. That's not what's happening. There's no like recognition that that's a problem, which means that it opens the door for that to always be an acceptable thing. And the way that impunity works is that once they have decided that they can't charge somebody for it this time as a cop, it's it. They'll use this case forever. As long as that rule is okay, they'll use that case forever.
It's disgusting. And it's, I mean, I lived in Louisville briefly my freshman year of college. It's a race. It was a racist town then. It's a racist town now. It's a racist state. Kentucky's throw the whole motherfucker away. And I used to like bourbon, but fuck the Wildcats, fuck the Cardinals, fuck the Bluegrass, fuck the Derby, fuck all them horses. I don't give a fuck about the entire. Kentucky Fried Popeyes is better. Fuck Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Popeyes is better. Fuck Kentucky Fried Chicken is right. To add on to what's going on with the civil unrest that's happening, because I want to hit a couple things, then I want to have a couple of at least decent things to talk about before we get out of here. It has come out that there were leaked messages that showed a far right group's planned the violence that happened in Portland. So there are a bunch of things that leaked out that showed that, this hollering that's going on by the Justice Department of Antifa, and Black Lives Matter being violent, like everything that continues to come out is always about far right groups doing the shit. And I think it's important to keep making that.
I said something like maybe almost 2 months ago, how long ago it was, because it's so hard to tell now. Whenever they were talking about they made a bunch of arrests in Portland and shit like that, and I called bullshit on those arrests. And the reason why I call bullshit on those arrests, 2 reasons. They didn't do a lot of fucking parading camera of the people that they arrested. And it's been, I don't know how long ago this was, because like I said, the shit's all crazy. But however long ago it's been, we haven't seen a single one of those motherfuckers on TV talk about how they were treated or what they got arrested for. Nobody wanted to get that story. I think because how can you check who they fucking arrested? They don't have,
right.
If they don't book them for a crime, there doesn't have to necessarily be anything.
Exactly.
There's nothing to report. And I think they knew the whole fucking time it was right-wing people, because you mean to tell me they've been arrested niggas in Portland and they ain't put that shit on TV once?
Man, the difficulty here's the difficulty that I'm seeing going on, and it's personified in the other thing that I want to talk about before we get into this last bit of craziness in the world. There's this issue with a large part of white America that doesn't realize how shitty the rest of white America is. They continue to be like, well, I'm not, and here's the thing, like if you're a white person who hasn't really run into the situation before, I do get how you could be like, I don't have any problem with any other races, and I feel like I could get it. So I don't think I can see how anybody could be so hateful because I haven't met anybody like that. I get how you could feel that way or think that way, but I want to tell you something honestly, so you understand. There are definitely a bunch of fucking people who are that way. Okay. There are a bunch of people who happen to be white who, if they could, would eradicate every single person of color, Jewish person off of the face of the planet like tomorrow, or maybe not eradicate us, but have us in servitude. There are legit people who want to have that happen, who try to work towards having that happen, who would like to return to a time when that is what is happening. It's an absolute thing. And a lot of those people do have money and spend that money to do things. A lot of those people are ingrained in the system, and through various levels of that white supremacy, which is beyond the concept of racism, enact things that continue to keep people from getting a fair shot and fair justice. And that is the issue that's going on. And it's evident in the confusion in things like Tucker Carlson, who had this defamation suit with Karen McDougal, who was she was one of the people involved with Trump. She was a model. It's actually somebody who I've actually met personally. It was not a subject that we were talking about in the short time that we met each other, but she was
really, Bobby, you didn't break it down with her.
Yeah, in the few hours I was hanging out around her, but like, from my interaction with her in that little bit of time, she seemed like a normal, average person, right? Like nothing. She didn't seem like didn't seem crazy. She was a person hanging out. But that. So she had a lawsuit against Tucker Carlson because he had laid out some craziness about her, and it was a defamation suit claiming that like this guy on this news show said these things about her. And the judge dismissed the suit because it came out that Tucker Carlson is not a news show. Tucker Carlson is a parody, and Fox News has confirmed this, that Tucker Carlson is a parody show, a parody of What I Do Not Know. But they don't label it as a parody because the name of their channel is Fox News. But he is a quote unquote a character, which is definitely true because he's an elite person who rails about the elite. And so, he is a character, but they also claim that the viewers are in on the joke, which they are definitely not.
Yeah.
That's the hook, is that they believe that the viewers know that it's not real, but they definitely do not know it because
I've had conversations with his viewers in real time, in real life, and I know for a fact those motherfuckers do not know that this shit's not, that they think so their position is he's Stephen Colbert.
Their position is he's Stephen Colbert, and that the audience knows he's Stephen Colbert the way that like we know who Stephen Colbert is.
You know what the fucked up thing is? Republicans didn't even get Stephen Colbert. Those on his show and think that he was actually riding for them.
I mean, what do you think? That's the formula, though, right? Like, if you're a conservative who's in power and you see Republicans be confused by Stephen Colbert, you go, oh, I got it. I just got to push that a little bit further. And then I can really send a message, right? And that's what he is. He's a propaganda machine. He's a machine that pushes propaganda. There's a great YouTube video. I think I'll share that later on today too, of Tucker Carlson and breaks down his duality of nature and what he has on his show and who he is as a person. But I think it's important that you lay that out there for people that like anytime you see Tucker Carlson used as a source for anybody's argument for something, you need to point out that must be you're being a parody, right?
He should be required to put parody on his show in some way, shape, or form. Like it should be somewhere labeled because it's on a news station in prime time. Like if it was on a news station at 11 o'clock, at the same time that Colbert and Fallon and Kimmel are on,
right?
I can totally see that. This motherfucker's on prime time every day of the week.
He's perpetrating himself to be a news show, and he is not that. And I think, and Fox News says so. So like, this is not like a thing where it's like the liberals are claiming Tucker Carlson isn't. No. This is how he got out of getting sued. Okay, is by admitting as much. So let's just be clear on what that is.
And then dumbass gonna say some shit like, well, he just said that to get out of a lawsuit, just being smart to get out of a lawsuit. Hey, motherfucker, you have to be able to prove that the judge didn't just hear it and go,
right.
Okay, like you have to have probably some kind of show notes and shit like that. Like, see, this obviously couldn't be, and the judge is like, "Oh wow,
right,
oh,
yeah,
fuck.
Yeah." You had to prove that you were on bullshit. Yeah, that had to be proven.
You had to be proven. The judge didn't just hear that argument and think, "Damn, that was a good argument."
Yeah, that's a good one. Y'all win.
That's how that shit works.
No, that's how you have to have your show. Your show has to be registered. You have to do some things to show that that's the case, which is crazy.
It's a crazy way to out yourself. Another crazy way to out yourself is to shoot one of the biggest female stars in the foot, and then write 17 tracks that are all about defending yourself against the fact that you shot her in the foot.
Real quick, can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I have been like about 5 minutes full-blown shrooming, and I think I'm doing pretty goddamn good. I just want recognition. The lights are singing to me right now, and I am here in the game. I just want y'all to know your boy is a professional. All right.
Well, that's good because we're almost to the end, and we're onto the part where it doesn't matter a whole lot about being present for Tory Lanez, whose real name is Daystar, which is, first of all, if your name is Daystar, why would you rename yourself?
Why would you change your name?
Daystar is way doper than any.
Daystar sounds like a superhero. Tory Lanez sounds like a bowling place. I thought when it was Tory Lanez, I thought that was like, oh shit. When that nigga first came out, I was like, hey, get some club, like some bowling alley club called Tory Lanez. Niggas is hot for.
That's what Chris Paul's gonna open when he comes to Chicago. He's gonna open a Tory Lanez.
Daystar, that's dope as fuck as a name for a piece of shit person.
So for those who are not on Black People Twitter, Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot a while back. She claims he shot her in the foot. He just came out with a full 17-track album, basically saying that he didn't shoot her in the foot. How do you make a whole album that's basically being mad at the fact that you got in trouble for shooting this chick? He yells at JoJo on the album. I haven't listened to it. I just had to read the article.
Did you say Casey and JoJo?
No. You know the white chick, JoJo?
Okay.
Apparently, she took his track off of her deluxe version of the album.
Wow.
So took her off that. He also was mad because people claimed he was 5'3", and he made a big deal out of letting everybody know he's actually 5'7".
That bitch is bigger than him, right? Like she could.
Yeah, she's like 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, she could like fuck him up, like legit.
I mean, if I was him, I'd be careful because she is also talented in the booth, which means that like the comeback album could also be a struggle.
Dude, she gonna eat that nigga, man.
The clapback is gonna be a painful one for him for sure.
I think she got freestyle game. I'm not 100% sure about that, but
yeah,
writing bars already.
I go into it deeper at another time, but on the car side of things, Tesla had battery day recently. A couple things happened. One, Gavin Newsom said that he's going to eliminate gas-powered cars from California by 2035, which is a big-ass step. I think that means a lot more jobs, to be honest with you. But to back that up, Elon Musk said he's going to drop a $25,000 electric that's self-driving. So that's a car that like the more average car buying American can afford. Right now, the cheapest Tesla you can get is 35 grand. And that's like the bare bones cheap Tesla 3. So there'll be a $25,000 Tesla. I'm sure that'll start there as well.
Also self-driving. So
they also have a new battery coming that's supposed to be like 5 times more powerful than the batteries they have now, which means like
1 million mile battery.
They're gonna have
1 million mile battery.
Yeah, they're gonna have batteries where it's gonna be like it's gonna be like phones where it's like just every couple of days you got to make sure you charge it.
Yeah. But when I say 1 million mile battery, I don't mean it can travel 1 million miles on charge. I mean your car will drive for 1 million miles.
Yeah, that's the other
which
part.
is insane.
Yeah, because the biggest hang up to owning a car before had been how many miles you're gonna get out of the battery, because you don't want to sell a car 8 years in and then have that person have to replace a battery with a new $6,000 or $7,000 battery. But the cost of that is just changing. On the flip side of things, there is a company that was about to come up with a truck called Nikola. It's still killing, huh? Let me see if I can turn something up here. Is that better?
There we go.
Is that better? Okay, cool. Yeah, the company Nikola had gone public. They'd become a $20 billion public company, and the CEO just left. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. It turns out that Nikola is most likely vaporware. They had made a bunch of promises with their fuel cell technology. They had made a deal with GM. This guy I think he's getting out with $2.3 billion, and it turns out the shit may not even be real.
So whoa. The thing that GM was talking about how they was gonna start outdoing Tesla with batteries and shit, was this nigga's stuff and it ain't even real?
Yeah, it's not even real shit, man.
Whoa, that's huge.
Like, here, let me run down. I'm gonna run down. I know we're running a little bit, but I gotta run down the shit that came out, like how they made this shit happen. So let's see. A bunch of false statements that he made over the course of a decade turned into a $20 billion public company. Let's see. Say he was going to revolutionize the battery industry, done through a pending acquisition because the company they were going to buy was vaporware. The president of that battery company had been indicted months early over allegations that he conned NASA by using his expense account to procure numerous prostitutes.
Wow.
They never backed off from the claims of what they were going to do. Now they're using GM's battery technology to make that happen. They claim they had an inexpensive hydrogen creation that's not real. They don't own any of the assets that they claim that they're going to produce. It's not, none of the stuff they're talking about is real. There's a video that they claim that they had that is just not, that they actually like slid a truck down a hill to make it look like it was working when it wasn't. Like, this is a $20 billion public company. This is people who own stock in this company.
Dude, and you know what's crazy? That motherfucker gonna do no time.
No. Oh no, he's gonna skate free. He's got 2.3 bill. He's cashed out at 70 mil a couple times to pull money out of the company. He's going to be just fine. He's got plenty of money to beat whatever's going on. The only other thing I want to talk about, we all play video games on here. Fortnite has been big with their Marvel shit lately. They just released a Blade skin, which is like super true to design. Like the outfit and everything is dope. He's got the singular sword in his back, which is super dope. He's got the emote where he throws a blade in the air and catches it. It's all badass. There's only one problem with it, and that is that the blade that they have in there is light skinned as fuck. And I have a real problem with it. I'm a light skinned dude. But I do not like the idea of lightening the skin tone.
I wonder if they have a new, because I remember when the Avengers, I remember when Nick Fury became black.
Right.
And that was way before, according to the way the story goes, that was before they even asked.
Yeah, they did it in homage to him and then they got him. Yeah.
But maybe they have an actor in mind that they want to be the next Blade for the Marvel universe, and they're trying to put it in the comic book so you get used to seeing it, or put it in, not the comic book, but in this in a game where in the skin that you're talking about, they're doing it in order to adjust your idea of what Blade looks like.
I get that. It is wild how much the character otherwise looks like Wesley Snipes.
Damn.
Like, it's wild how it looks pretty much just like a light-skinned Wesley Snipes.
So no, what it is they just didn't want to pay. They just didn't want to play the homie Wesley. They just didn't want to pay Wesley.
I mean, even in the comic book, he's a dark-skinned dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, my advice to anybody who's trying to do representations of characters who are already established or people who are already established is like, if they're supposed to be black, like err on the side of going like maybe a light bit darker even. You know what I mean? Like just err a little on the side of darker versus light. You'll definitely avoid the criticism.
Bobby, you would know the answer to this. I've never looked into it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Does Wesley Snipes own Blade entirely, or does he just own the screenplay?
No, I think he owns the screenplay. He doesn't
So
own the Marvel has the rights to do whatever they want to with it.
They can do everything. Are you certain about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason why I ask is I remember the way he got the screenplay was basically nobody wanted to do it.
Yeah, yeah. He got the rights to do that. He got the rights to that movie. He's probably got money on that movie, and he may have some say in the franchise, but Marvel owns that character. That's a Marvel character. Hey man, you got anything coming up? Where can people find you? What's happening?
I will be at Laugh Factory at the end of next month.
Ooh. Look who's back, Daddy.
Yeah, man. Dude, Authentic Cuts, shout out Authentic Cuts, my shit Christmas fuck, bro. You looking like I was at the shop today, and I literally turned that shit into like a quick 5-minute open mic because I just needed people, and it was all dudes. We were all pretty close in age. It was maybe some late 20 cats in there at the youngest, and I asked permission, because I go off with the barbers all the time. I was like, hey, nobody sensitive, and I just started kind of so I started ripping, and I saw people laughing, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna shoot off some shit.
Yeah, let me tell you, I got a bunch of new material for sure.
That shit felt so good, my man. I just basically did like not even maybe type 5 of new shit. Just getting people reactions. Like, did they understand what the joke was? Were they laughing at it? It was a good vibe. Obviously, it's not the real thing, but it's enough to it's like the taste of the blood.
What's your social media? Where can people find you online?
At XL Comedy on IG, Twitter, and that's it.
Nice. You can find me at mocha_Jesus. I'll be at Zany's in November. I'll have dates up on my website at itsbobbyhill.com. Find us at New OGs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you get over to People of Comedy and People of Comedy Network on Twitter and Instagram. Find their shows, watch their stuff. James is putting up all types of protest videos that are going on, live streaming those while they're happening, and catch all the other live shows they've got going on there. Make sure you get to GoSolarMasters.com. Thank you guys for joining us. It was a great episode. We're so happy you're here with us. That's it. That's what's up.
Mark Zuckerberg, look at me. I'm training my son to take you down. I hate you. My son is going to be a better you. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Bitch, you better play your role. I feel like Nelly when he dropped that country grammar. Fuck the rumors, give a fuck about a story told.